Hi everyone, and welcome to this week's episode of Home Ec with Jen and Kelly,
where we teach you all the things home that school didn't.
Today we're going to be talking about conditions in an offer, which is a great subject to talk about because we have seen conditions kind of return to our market after the craziness of 2021-2022.
Yeah, absolutely. So we want to discuss today what are the most popular conditions that you actually do see in an agreement of purchase and sale. So first off, what exactly is a condition? Let's go over that.
Let's talk about it.
Yeah, so a condition specifies what must happen. They're usually in favor of the buyer, but what must happen so that a contract is legally binding. If it doesn't occur, then the contract can be terminated, and if not, it goes through and everybody's happy, conditions have all been met.
Yeah.
So, like I said, it's usually in place for the buyer's satisfaction as opposed to the seller's, but it can go vice versa as well.
100%. So basically, when you're going as a buyer to put an offer in on a property, there's two different ways that things can go. You're either going to put in a firm offer, which means that there are no conditions, everything's legit, you're going to get the deposit in either with your offer or ASAP, and it is sold. Or you're going to come in with your conditions, and this just means that you're giving a time period to the sellers for which you have a chance to do your due diligence on X, Y, or Z, which we're going to go over.
Yeah, and so we should also note that a condition actually does come with a time limit. So there is a reasonable time limit that's included in this condition on the APS, Agreement of Purchase and Sale. So it could be anywhere from 1 business day to 24 hours to 10 days from now, but there is a time limit in which that condition needs to be met. So that's also really important to know.
I also think it's important to note that those timeframes are going to differ based on market.
Absolutely.
And based on the type of property. If you have a commercial property with multiple units or different factors, due diligence can be months long because there's so much more to dive into. In the GTA, when it comes to residential properties, we tend to see an average of 3 to 7 business days as the most common time periods.
Yeah,
for conditions.
absolutely. So again, kind of jumping off of what you said, in a seller's market, more often than not, there really are, if you're competing against others, there really is kind of little room to have conditions. You'll likely want to have an offer that's the cleanest as possible. But we're going to pretend that it's a buyer's market, because in a buyer's market, the buyers have the power and they can include the conditions that help protect them in moving forward with the actual purchase and sale.
100%. And I think we actually talked about it a bit in our last video, but conditions are there to protect the buyers, but honestly, they protect the sellers as well because they don't have a buyer that's coming in with question marks above their head. They have the time to do their due diligence. They know their financing is in order or the house is in order, and everyone's just a lot more comfortable working their way to closing.
Exactly. So without further ado, let's jump into what are the top 4 conditions that you put into an agreement of purchase and sale. Kelly, take it away with number 1.
Okay, so number 1 is financing. This is one of the conditions you probably hear about most often. And this is solely for the buyer to take their time and make sure that their financing is lined up for this specific property. So when you're a buyer getting into the market, you're going to go to your mortgage broker ahead of time and get a pre-approval. This pre-approval is just a general idea of what you can afford based on your finances and the market. However, once you find that specific property, there's going to need to be different factors about that home itself that apply to whether or not you can afford it. What's the location? What's the price point? What other fees or items are involved in the cost of owning that property?
For example, if it's a condominium, you'll want to include the maintenance fees because that's a huge difference in if it's a freehold or if it's a condominium, and that's something that the mortgage agent that you're using will need to take into consideration when calculating what it is that you can actually afford.
That's the thing. So the pre-approval gives you a rough idea. The actual financing condition time is for you to take that specific property to your mortgage broker, and they're going to make sure that based on the taxes, the purchase price, additional fees, XYZ, you can 100% afford it, so everyone knows that you're comfortable to move forward.
Yeah. So next up, we've got home inspection. So that is the next most commonly used condition in an APS. And essentially that means that you will have the ability to go in as a buyer and inspect the property with a licensed home inspector. You can't use your uncle. So you go in and have a look at all of the things, the roof, the plumbing, the electrical. You go in and inspect that property to make sure that you're not buying a lemon or something that you need to go ahead and fix after, or if there's something that's hidden there, there's a cost in there that you will need to repair after you go ahead and purchase it. You want to have that home inspection, just to have your own peace of mind and know that what you are seeing is what you are getting and not something beyond that.
100%. I think it's also important to mention with the home inspection factor, or honestly any condition, you have the chance once you've completed your inspection to go back, either say everything's good, negotiate for them to make repairs, or negotiate for them to adjust on price based on your findings.
Yeah, exactly. So moving on to that. So that typically that condition is usually in there again between 3 and 5 business days, I would say. Most people don't actually take the 7 days to go ahead and have that condition in there, but that's usually the time frame that you have for home inspection.
Totally. Our third condition that we see commonly is a lawyer review. So offer conditional on your lawyer reviewing the contracts. This is very common when it comes to pre-construction projects because there's a lot of paperwork involved. Commercial properties, it can be very common as well. Generally speaking, when we're dealing with condos, there'll be review for a status certificate.
Absolutely.
So the lawyer is going to go ahead and review the health of the building itself, not just your unit, to make sure that you're purchasing in a building that's not like going to go into debt and take your money. So on any property, if you are just weary about the contract or just want to be extra sure, this is your chance to take it to your lawyer and have them review it so you can give the A-OK.
Yeah. And number 4, and this one, it's common, but it's more common than you would think, but there's kind of a double component happening. Anyways, it is the sale of a buyer's property. A lot of people, and remember, this is a buyer's market, not a seller's market, but a lot of people will have a home to sell when they go ahead and purchase a new one. So if they haven't sold yet, they put in this condition that says, okay, I promise to buy your home contingent on the sale of my home. Everybody freaks out. Let's be honest. Everybody freaks out. The sellers freak out. They're like, oh my God, no, what if they don't sell their home? Oh my God, all of that kind of stuff. There is something that is also included in that. It's called an escape clause. So basically what it means is, and it gives everybody a lot of peace of mind. Essentially, it says that we agree to purchase your home based on the sale of our home by such and such a time. However, if you get another offer, it is up to you guys to go ahead. They give the buyers, something like 24, 48 hours to come up with, to compete with, I am not saying this properly.
To firm up. You have 48 hours to firm up.
To firm up on the condition of that sale. So essentially, it's an escape clause that allows them to take away that condition should somebody else want to come and purchase your home that doesn't have a sale of a buyer's property condition in the agreement of purchase and sale. So it's nice because what you can do is you can have somebody buy the home and it's all fine and dandy, but if somebody else comes and buys that home or wants to buy that home, they can also do that. So it protects.
Yeah,
it protects the buyers
almost
and
like
the
you're
sellers.
reserving the purchase of the home. You're like, I'm committed, here's my agreement, but I do have to sell my house. So I'm just gonna put you on hold. I know we're good right now. Someone comes along, I gotta get it together and decide if I'm committed to making this purchase or if it just can't happen.
Thank you for putting that together for me so eloquently, Kelly, because I just simply couldn't. So yeah, those are the top 4 conditions that we tend to see in an agreement of purchase and sale. There are all kinds of other conditions that you could put in there that is very specific to the individual and the specific situation and the property. If you purchase a rural home, for example, you might want to have a look at a condition on the inspection of the septic or an environmental clause or condition, having a look at soil and if there's been any contamination or anything of that nature. Other things include insurance, appraisal, if the property is going to appraise properly, what happens then, removal of debris, but we could go on and on. There are
one that became really popular during COVID, and then obviously if you're working with people out of country, out of area, maybe they have a baby at home, is on viewing the property.
Oh yeah.
Or if it's just a really hot market, maybe it's an investment property, it's been up for a day, it's a great deal and you just want to get your offer in and have them accept it, get it in, make it conditional on seeing the property, say in the next 2 days or something like that.
Absolutely. So those are the conditions, the top 4 and a little bit more conditions that you can put into the agreement of purchase and sale. We hope that you liked and found this video informative. If you have any other questions, feel free to reach out to us anytime. Otherwise, make sure you
like, subscribe, comment, follow us, all the good stuff, and we'll see you next time.
Thanks so much for coming.
Bye.